Hey everyone, my name is Mike, aka Mask Matador, and I'd like to welcome you to this guide for how to get the FOXHOUND rank in Metal Gear Solid Delta as easily as possible. Thanks to some of the additions and gameplay changes in this version of the game, it is significantly easier to obtain the FOXHOUND rank than it was in previous versions like the original Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater or the Master Collection. This guide will walk you step by step through every area of the game and show you how to get through it as quickly and as easily as possible. You won't need any crazy amounts of skill to do this, and we're not going to rely on any glitches, gimmicks, or exploits. Any average person should be able to do this with a reasonable amount of skill. This video is designed to be a follow-up to my trophy and collectible guide, a link for that is in the description, but at the bare minimum, you should have completed the game at least one time on any difficulty to unlock New Game Plus. But if you've collected all 64 of the Gakko Ducks, this will be even easier. So if you haven't done that already, I would recommend that you follow that guide, and then we can get started with this FOXHOUND rank guide. So starting off, you do want to begin a New Game Plus run after having completed the game at least one time. You can either choose the New Game Plus option or just go to Load Game and then load up the save file that has a number in the top left corner. It says Cleared 001 for Operation Snake Eater completed. Go ahead and select that game, and then we're going to begin here. We want to play on the new style. While the first playthrough was on very easy, we're going to bump up the difficulty to extreme because that is required, and then for tips, we'll just choose to hide the tips. And when we're ready, we'll hit start to begin.
After the end of
We are on a very generous time limit of completing the game within 5 hours. Don't worry, it won't take nearly that long, but in order to accomplish it easily, make sure that you're skipping all the cutscenes and the radio transmissions that you get. To skip a cutscene, pull up the pause menu and hit skip, and then for the radio transmissions on the PlayStation controller, you'll want to hold down the triangle button, but it will tell you exactly what that button is on the screen if you're playing on a different console or on PC. When we begin in the first area, Dremuchij South, we'll run forward and then we're going to crawl under this log. On the other side, we'll stand up, go over to the climbing tree, and we'll climb up to the branch. We'll take a few steps over toward the right to go on top of our backpack, and then we'll press the action button, which on the PlayStation is the X button, and then you'll drop down and get a short, unskippable cutscene. After that, you'll get more cutscenes as well as radio transmissions, so skip past them, and then we're going to be on with the game. We're going to then run forward, and we're going to follow the path until we exit into Dremuchij Swampland. From here, we'll proceed forward along the path, running through the long grass, and then it will open up as we go toward the right-hand side into the swamp area. Now we'll turn toward the right and run through the middle or roll over top of this Indian gavial, then turn left when you get to the ferns, roll over the mud, go across to the other side of the island, and roll over again. Now all we have to do is follow the path through the long grass and we'll be into the next area of the game, which is the first one that has some enemies in it. And I want to take just a moment to explain a couple of the important things that we'll need to keep in mind for this FOXHOUND rank guide. So starting off, if you bring up the pause menu, this actually stops the in-game timer. So you can pause your game like this, watch the video, and then resume your game and no time has passed. There's also the records and titles option here, which tells you what you need to keep track of for this FOXHOUND rank guide. So in this version of the game, saves do not count against you. You can have as many saves as you want to, and every zone has an autosave associated to it, so it makes it very easy to not lose your progress. You have to have 0 continues, which means if you die, you have to exit out of the game and then reload it. You have to have 0 alert phases so the enemies can't see you, 0 humans killed, you have to have 20 or fewer serious injuries. The total damage taken has to be 5 life bars or fewer, which means that you can't lose a significant amount of health, but that should be pretty easy considering we're going to be avoiding most combats. You can use 0 life medicines, which means no healing using items. You can capture as many plants and animals as you want to, and eat as many meals as you want to either. But you can't use 3 specific special items. Let's have a look at what those are. If you open up the survival viewer, this does not stop the timer, so just be prepared for that. If we scroll down the list of our uniforms in the camouflage menu, we should begin with all of the boss camos, all of the specialty starting camos, as well as any pre-order bonus camos. None of these count against the FOXHOUND rank, so you're able to use any of them as you will, and especially the boss camos that provide specific bonuses like this spirit camo are very handy. Most of the face paints don't really matter, but the infinity face paint that you get for completing the game with a live Tsukinoko cannot be used because it will actually void out the FOXHOUND rank. It even warns you that in the left. But the green face paint and the brown face paint can be used for their specific bonuses. Particularly the brown one is helpful for allowing us to breathe underwater, and that's super helpful in some parts of the game. Now let's go into the backpack and look at our weapons. We want to unselect the survival knife. We'll keep the Mark 22, but we cannot use the easy gun. That will also void our FOXHOUND rank, so take that off. And we don't want the directional microphone, but we do want to have the Patriot. This is not considered a special weapon. It is a weapon that has its particular uses and never runs out of ammo. Then for the items, we want to deselect the cigar and the binoculars. Using the stealth camouflage will cost us the FOXHOUND title, so don't ever use that. But the AT camouflage that you get for collecting all 64 of the Gakko ducks can be very useful at certain points. And we don't need the compass either. After that, we can back out, and then I want to show you what that AT camouflage can do. It's also called the ghillie suit because when you equip it, it greatly increases the amount of camouflage index you have. What we want to do in this area is just to sneak forward, and we're going to hide out right behind this tree here. This whole big gap here between the rock and the tree, the enemy actually can't see us through that. It's like an invisible wall that they can't look through. We're going to wait until this enemy comes walking past and he'll turn and look the other direction. When that happens, you can pop out and either CQC slam him, but that might alert the guard in the distance, or you can hold him up by raising your weapon. This guard also has a secret theater tape, so if you're interested in getting those, this is the first guard that offers it to you. Now we can CQC slam on the ground, and we're going to run over to the guard in the distance. Thanks to the spirit camouflage, we're able to run up on this enemy and he'll never hear our footsteps. And we're just going to run over and CQC slam him. Then proceed forward, and we want to get down and crawl through the grass right as this guard is turning around. Now if you didn't hold up the first guard and just slammed him, you can get through this pretty easily without having the risk of that third guard seeing you. But together with the AT camo and being quick enough, you can move into Dolinovodno without too much of a problem. We'll skip the intro cutscene, and then we want to lie down in the long grass next to this tree. If we look up above the guard, we're going to see a hornet's nest, and we can shoot that. It looks like a tan circle up in the trees. The hornets will fall down and start to sting the enemy soldier. He'll run off, but as you can see, he spins around a little bit, and if we were standing, he would see us, and that would cause an alert. So stay down until he runs off, wait a second for those guards to run in the distance, and then you can proceed forward. If you run right in the middle of the bridge, you shouldn't fall off the sides. I'm going to play through the rest of the game without using the AT camo and really without items in general. So if you have the AT camo, feel free to use it to make this even easier, but I'll show you how to get through the game even without it. Now we're just going to follow the path around until we can go into the new area, which is Rassvet. We'll get another cutscene that we want to skip over. And then we'll get a radio transmission that will also fast forward through. Start by crouch walking over toward the right, then go up to the wall, and then lay down and crawl into the patch of long grass on the other side of the wall. This gives us really good camo so the enemy won't see us even if we come right up to the edge of it. Then we can tranquilize the guard nearby by shooting him in the head, and then look up and shoot the guard at the top. Using the third-person view is actually pretty easy to aim. You'll see on the reticle there's the broken white line at the top and then 3 gray lines. Just line up the enemy's head with the gray line in the middle, and he should hit that headshot pretty easily. There's another guard to the left, but we can ignore him just by crawling over toward the right side and getting to the far side of this tree. We'll then pop up and we'll go around the trees and into the building area. Stick over toward the right side and you can hop on up. Now be careful because there is an enemy around here, but if you're quick enough, you can run right up to him and then we can CQC slam him. Again, the spirit camo makes it so that he can't hear our footsteps and we can approach him easily. We'll go into the back room, get some cutscenes that we'll skip, and then afterward we're going to leave this broken building and run forward along the path. You can go right in between these 2 trees and that should take you straight out through the gate, then turn toward the left and follow the path. That will take us back into Dolinovodno, where we just have a bunch of cutscenes, after which we then have to heal up Snake. So open up the survival viewer, go to Cure. Cuts will require 4 things: disinfectant, styptic, bandages, and suture kits. You'll have to do that 3 times in a row. And then we've got a bone fracture, which requires a bandage and a splint, another cut, and then another bone fracture. After that, we'll get more cutscenes that we'll skip, and we begin Operation Snake Eater. In Dremuchij East, we then run forward along the path, go around the log and over toward the left, run up the hill, and that will take you into a new area. Now in Dremuchij North, we're just going to run forward along the path until we can hop off this ledge, keep going forward through the long grass, and then go down another hill. Keep running forward until you get another cutscene that we're going to skip. Now normally a couple guards are going to come and try to make our life hard, but what we want to do is to turn around and we're going to follow the path behind us, and that will take us into the Dremuchij swampland. Now let's go into the survival viewer and we'll choose camouflage, and I'm going to equip the spirit camo to eliminate our footstep noises. The Peace Walker sneaking suit will also have the same effect. Then in the backpack, we're going to take off the survival knife and the easy gun. We'll keep the stun grenades and the directional microphone. Now in the item tab, we're going to take off the cigar, the binoculars, and the compass. If you want the AT camouflage, go ahead and use that to make it easier, but I'm not going to be using that. Then turn around and go back the way you came into Dremuchij North. This resets the area. It also auto-saves all the changes that we just made to our equipment setup, and now those guards aren't coming at us, and we're able to run through this area a whole lot easier. So just proceed forward with the Spirit Camo or the Peace Walker sneaking suit. We can run right up behind this guard, and he's never going to hear us coming. Let's go right up behind him and CQC slam this guard. Now we'll go forward, and we can crouch run up the left side of this hill to get up to the top. And that's going to take us into Dolinovodno. We don't have any weapons that we can use for shooting on that hornet's nest, but there's another good way to get through here. We're going to crawl forward until we're in the long grass, and we want to get right to the edge so we can see these guards. The guard on the left, close to us, will turn around, and then the guard on the right will turn around as well. As soon as he turns and starts walking to the left side of the screen, hop down and slam him. And now slam his friend over to the left. After that, we're going to crouch run across this bridge. There's actually another enemy soldier on the path of the left side on the opposite edge of this area, and if we're running normally, he'll see us, but if we crouch run, he's not going to see us. Then we'll proceed forward, and we want to crawl into the long grass on the far wall. From here, we'll get right to the edge, and we're going to look out, and we're going to see him coming. He's going to take his time walking up here, and then eventually he's going to turn around. You've got the choice at this point. You can either choose to CQC slam him and just get him out of the way, but he really doesn't pose any risk to us, so if you want to be a little bit faster, just ignore him, and then run through to the end of the path after he turns around, and he'll never see us or hear us thanks to our camouflage. Now we're back in Rassvet. There are no enemies in this area for right now, so we've got a little time to prepare for the upcoming encounter against the Ocelot Unit. We'll proceed forward along the path until we can go into the broken building. From here, keep going forward past the barrel lying on the ground, and we want to go to the back left corner behind some boxes that contain some smoke grenades for us. After that, turn around and hop up on this ledge. Then climb up these boxes, and at the top we can grab cardboard box A. That comes in very handy later on. After that, hop down and then go into the survival viewer. We'll go to camouflage, and then we want to go down and select Desert Tiger. This is something that we got when we completed the game, and it prevents us from wearing out our suppressors and gives us just the right amount of camo index for a future trick. We'll then put on the desert face paint, and then we can go ahead and close out of the menu. Turn left, go through the door, and work your way toward the back room. Go to the left and open up the locker to grab some thermal goggles. After that, we're going to leave the room, and we're going to get a series of cutscenes. We can skip over all those cutscenes, and you are able to save the game, but I would recommend skipping over the save game. Now let's go into the survival viewer, we'll go to backpack, and on the weapons tab we'll take the Mark 22 as well as the M1911A1. Finally, grab the smoke grenades that we picked up a minute ago. At this point, if you want to save the game, that will lock in the changes that you had. Afterwards, proceed out of the room and crouch down in this corner between the wall and the boxes. Equip a stun grenade and aim it out the door. You want to aim kind of in the middle of this area, and as soon as the third guard steps up, throw that grenade. The enemies will look at it and they should all go down. If one of them doesn't go down, then equip your Mark 22 and finish them off while they're stunned. Then go back into the room where you started and go through the hatch on the other side of the bed to hop down underneath the building. Turn toward the right and there's a guard just through the gate that you can shoot, and then there's another one a little bit over toward the right. Shoot them anywhere, they don't need to be headshots. Then turn around and we're going to crawl through the space behind us. Then we'll turn over toward the right and exit out the side. We want to then crawl up this hill, and that's going to give us really high camo index. We're at 90 to 95% here. We're going to wait until an enemy comes over into this corner and we're able to shoot him anywhere in the body. Now he should be able to see us, but our high camo index means he won't. Then we're going to crawl back into this building. Now that guard might not come right away, just be patient. It is a little bit random where he starts, but eventually he will go to that corner. Now we're going to crawl underneath the building all the way to the other side, and we can look out of this gap and see another guard in the far corner. We can go ahead and shoot him. Anywhere is fine, but if you want to get a headshot, aim a little bit high and hope that you hit that head. But if you hit him anywhere, that's good enough. Then turn around, go forward and a little bit toward the left as we circle around through this space, and then we're going to exit the crawl space and we'll be outside the building once again. Stay crawling down because there is an enemy over on the right hand side, and he should be sitting right here, and we can aim at him and take him down with a headshot. Be patient and wait for the guard in that back corner to faint, and once he passes out, then we can proceed forward. You can either go straight ahead into the long grass or turn around this corner and then go around into the long grass. We then just have to go forward along this broken wall on our right, and we can get to the edge of the grass and shoot the guard in front of us when he comes over. Once he's down, then we can proceed forward. Keep crawling because there is an enemy guard in the back who has very good eyesight and we don't want him to see us. So keep going forward into the long grass, and then when we get to the other side of it, then we can look out and we can also shoot him in the head. And that should be the end of this section with all 10 guards defeated without ever having the chance to see us. Once they're down, our evasion is going to go all the way to the bottom. You might want to take some time to run around. You can shake enemies down by picking them up and dropping them. Each guard can drop a couple items. You may be able to get more Mark 22 ammunition for your tranquilizer gun or get other useful items like batteries. And then when you're ready, proceed along the side of this building, and then you're going to get a cutscene, which you should skip. After that, you'll be back inside the building. Let's leave the broken building and follow the path going toward the left as we go back around the side of the building and over toward the exit. But before we go through the exit, we do want to stop and make a quick change to our uniform, and that way when we go into the next area, it will be auto-saved and we don't have to worry about it changing again. So go into the survival viewer, go to uniform, and we're going to go down and equip the Pains uniform, the Hornet stripe, which wards away leeches. Then we're going to go to the face paint, and we're going to choose the brown face paint so that our oxygen gauge will not decrease while we're swimming. Finally, equip the M1911A1 and then proceed forward and go into Chyornyj Prud. Let's proceed forward and go down to the water's edge. We'll go a little bit toward the right and go in between a couple sets of trees, then we'll go into the water. We'll proceed forward until we can dive down, and then we can swim faster by pressing the action button, which on PlayStation is the X button. If there's some gavials in your way, go ahead and shoot them with the M1911 to keep them away from us. One hit from them will probably drown us and kill us, and then keep going forward until you can get up onto land. Now we'll take a few steps forward until we get a mandatory radio transmission. Of course, skip through this just to save time by holding down the fast forward button, and then we want to roll over the booby trap to avoid it. Then proceed forward, and that will take us into Bolshaya South. Let's go forward and then over toward the right so that we can crawl under the far right section of the electric fence. Turn left and then crawl underneath the booby trap rope. There's some claymore mines in this area, but we don't want to collect any of them. Just keep going forward, and there's going to be a claymore mine straight ahead of you. We want to go to the left side of that, and then turn right so that we can go straight through this cut section of electric fence. If you come at an angle, you'll probably get hit. And then turn toward the right and go into these ferns. Once you're in the ferns, then you can crouch walk over toward the swamp area. We can then roll and crawl into these ferns, and then you want to equip the Mark 22. Then crawl down into the muddy area, and our camo index will get up to 95. That allows us to get very close to the guard who's walking around in this area. So we'll get pretty close to him, and then we can tranquilize him. We're going to proceed forward along this path past the guard, and then you want to stay over toward the right-hand side by the rocky ledge. Let's go into the far right corner where the fence meets the rock. We'll equip the M1911 and we'll shoot the control panel on the right side to disable the electric fence. Re-equip the Mark 22 and shoot the guard patrolling in the back. Anywhere on his body will work. Then we're going to crawl along the electric fence until we get closer to the guard. We then want to look past the two guards, and we'll see another guard in the distance who's patrolling. We'll shoot him again. Anywhere in the body will do. Then we just have to be patient and wait for those guards to be knocked out. Now, like I said, this electric fence is no longer electrified, so we can get right up next to it, which is going to make the next part easy, trying to get around these guards. Hold the up directional button to access the quick change camouflage menu, and we're going to re-equip this spirit camouflage. Then we can go over and slam the guard nearby. If you want to, you can slam the other guard for safety, otherwise just proceed forward and start to crawl over by this long grass. There's going to be a dog in this area. You can try to sneak past him, but for safety, I would recommend that you try to tranquilize him and put him to sleep. But if you don't take out that other guard, then he might be alerted. Just stay on the ground and keep crawling away, and you should be okay as we proceed toward the back left corner of this area, which will take us into the next section of the game. Once you get about to these trees, you should be far enough away that you don't have to worry about the guard, so get up and run into Bolshaya past base. Now we'll turn toward the left, and there's going to be a guard very nearby to us, so just run over to him and CQC slam him. As long as you approach from the side or the back, he won't see you or hear you. Then proceed alongside the fence until you can get back by a patch of grass and some trees. Equip the M1911 and shoot the explosive barrels in the distance. This raises a caution but not an alert status. Then we're going to go forward and we're going to CQC slam the guard who's in front of us. Now take your same M1911 and shoot the other explosive barrels up by that little building. Proceed forward a little bit, but don't leave the area yet. If you open up the start menu and go to records and titles, you'll see it still says 0 humans killed. That's because we only blew up barrels. We didn't actually kill them. The barrels killed the people. So that's a nice little way to get through that area quickly. Let's go into the survival viewer and choose camouflage. We now want to select a camouflage that reduces the amount of damage that we take. A great one to use is the sneaking suit, which we acquired during our previous playthrough. It cuts all damage in half and reduces stamina consumption. Then go into the backpack and we want to equip the Patriot. This is going to be very handy for the next boss fight. Now we'll go forward and over toward the left to enter Bolshaya past Crevice. This area begins with a cutscene, so skip that, and then the first thing you want to do is head over toward the left. There's going to be a venomous snake on the ground. Give him the old punch kick to get rid of him, and that way we don't have to worry about being bitten and envenomated. Then hide behind this rock and equip the Patriot. Now, Ocelot has a lot of plot armor, which means he can't actually die from these attacks. This makes the fight very quick and easy because we can keep spraying him with bullets and he's not going to die, so it's not going to count against us. As long as you're crouching down behind the rock, he's going to be forced to keep going over toward the right-hand side, and when the other enemy soldiers want to help him, we should be pretty well protected here. Very rarely he'll go all the way to the left and shoot us, but that's not a big deal. Thanks to our sneaking uniform, we don't take a whole lot of damage from that. Just stay over in this area, and that's going to keep forcing him over toward the right-hand side where we can get the advantage on him, and we'll just keep spraying him with bullets. It's probably better to do it in short bursts than just to hold it down. It seems like the accuracy gets a little bit worse if you just hold the trigger down too much. All in all, it's a pretty short fight, and you just want to make sure that you're fighting on our terms and not giving him any advantage at all. After that, we're going to get another cutscene. We can skip over that, and we'll be inside Chyornyj Peschera Cave Branch. Let's open up that start menu and go to Records and Titles to confirm that we're still at 0 humans killed. Also, don't forget to save once in a while just to have some backup saves for safety. Now we're going to go into our survival viewer and go to camouflage, and we want to equip the DPM camo, which will double our life recovery rate. This means that by the time we get to the next boss fight, we should be back to full health, no problem. It's pretty dark in here, but if you wait around for about 90 seconds, it will lighten up nicely. Then proceed forward along the path and then crawl through this crawl space. All we've got to do is to make our way all the way through this crawl space until we get to the other side. If you're enjoying this video and finding it helpful, please consider hitting that like button. It really does help me out. And also consider subscribing so that you can join our amazing community and so you can see more content and guides like this. Not only do I do Metal Gear Solid content, but a lot of other games, and I'd love to have you join our community. Once you get outside the crawl space, then proceed along the path, hugging that right wall. There's going to be some more items up in this open area, so go over and try to grab some more ammo, and then keep going along the path until you can go into a new area. This will take us into Chyornyj Peschera Cave. Immediately turn toward the right-hand side, and then go through the opening. Once we get through the narrow passageway, then we want to pick up the M37 shotgun. That really comes in handy for the next boss fight. Then crawl through the opening in front of you. By the way, if it seems like the video is a lot brighter than what you're experiencing, it's because I did turn up the game's brightness to a 3, and I'm also artificially brightening it during the editing process of this video, just so you can see it a little bit easier. Now we'll keep going forward and go through another crawl space that's quite lengthy, and that's going to take us out into the main branch of this area. And just for the sake of time, I'm going to speed up the footage to 2 times the normal speed, just so that we get through this crawl space a little bit faster. I figured it'd be pretty boring just to watch me crawl through a narrow opening for longer than necessary. Once you're through the main section, then turn toward the right, but don't go all the way into the Pains Arena just yet. We want to sit here for just a moment, letting our health refill. This footage of the health recovery is sped up to 4 times the normal speed, but it shouldn't take too long. We didn't take a lot of damage in the Ocelot fight thanks to our sneaking suit, and also that DPM camo helps by doubling the health recovery rate. Once we're at full health, we'll go into our camouflage, and we want to select that sneaking suit again to reduce the amount of damage that we take. And then for the face paint, we're going to equip the brown face paint so that we can breathe underwater indefinitely. Another good consideration would be the grenade camo. We'll take more damage, but we get infinite grenades, and I'll show you a strategy related to that later on. Then go into the backpack, and we want to equip the M37 shotgun, and we can also make sure that we have the smoke grenades equipped as well. Once you're ready, leave the survival viewer. We want to begin the fight against the Pain by using either the Patriot or the Mark 22. When using the Mark 22 in this fight, I would recommend removing the suppressor by opening up the weapon menu and then pressing the action button. There's no reason to waste your suppressor in a battle where we can't be stealthy anyway. We'll skip the intro cutscene, and then you want to immediately begin firing. A headshot with the Mark 22 or a few body shots with the Patriot will stun him, and he will not throw out his first pheromone attack, which gives you a little bit of a head start to this fight. When he has his B armor, you want to equip the M37 shotgun, and you're going to hit him 4 times. Use the tactical reload by unequipping and re-equipping the weapon quickly, and you can disperse those Bs. Then go back to trying to shoot him in the head with the Mark 22. Pay attention to what he's going to do next. If he swings his leg up and around, you immediately want to leave the platform because he's summoning a bunch of hornets to grab onto you. They don't actually hurt you, but they will paralyze you, which can be very dangerous if he combines it with another attack. If he uses his pheromones on you, just dive off the platform and we're going to swim toward the other platform in the back of this area. It's actually a larger platform and it has 2 different weapon ammunition boxes that can be very handy. Typically it'll have the Mark 22 and the M37 shotgun. If he summons the Tommy gun, immediately get off the platform and get right behind the rock that you're on. The bullets will not be able to hit you from this position. And then once he's done firing, climb back up. We're then going to equip the M37 shotgun again, and we're going to start blasting his B shield away. Once again, we were hit with pheromones, so we're going to dive into the water and we're going to swim to the other platform to wash off those pheromones and make sure that the bees don't swarm us. Those ones actually do quite a bit of damage to us if we don't take precautions and get away from them. This fight can either be fairly quick or it can take a very long time, all depending on how often you've got to leave your platform to dodge his attacks and then crawl back up onto it. It's all just wasted time. And it's especially annoying if you get rid of his B armor and then you've got to jump off the platform before having a chance to attack him with that Mark 22 and hit him in the head. Body shots do just a little bit of stamina damage, but headshots are definitely preferable. His head sways back and forth. It makes it harder to hit his head, but once you kind of understand the pattern of his movements, you can kind of use that to your advantage to know when his head's going to move back into position. And then when you get him down to half health, you'll get a cutscene, and it's very important that you immediately roll off the platform and into the water. You don't want to just hop off, you want to roll off the side of it and then immediately dive under the water because he summons his bullet bees, and if they hit you, they're probably going to kill you very quickly. So get underwater as soon as possible and swim over to the other platform. By the time you get over there and come back up to the surface, those bullet bees shouldn't be a problem for you anymore. But the other problem is that sometimes he combines it with other attacks, like having his bees carry grenades over to you, and that can definitely cause some problems. There is another mechanic worth mentioning, and that's that you are immune to damage so long as you're in the act of climbing up onto the platform. That means that you could actually climb up kind of in the middle of that Tommy gun attack, and he actually won't do damage to you. You can also climb up when a grenade is exploding, and that won't damage you either. However, because his Tommy gun will attack 1 to 3 times, and you don't know how many times that will be, if you get up at the wrong time, you'll probably die. Now at this point, phase 2 of the fight has been going on for about a minute, and I've barely made any progress against him, and that's just how the fight goes sometimes. It's really random based on what attacks he does. It takes a little while for you to get rid of his B shield, and then you've got time to do 2, maybe 3 headshots at the most before that shield comes back on. You definitely want to be using that tactical reload by unequipping and re-equipping the Mark 22. That gets you away from the reload animation, and you're able to fire shots much quicker. I think a lot of people would agree with me when I say that the Pain is the hardest boss fight out of all of them in this game. If you can get through this fight, you should have no problem getting through the rest of the game. I know this fight took me the most number of tries, and it can be very frustrating because if he combines attacks like grenades and the Tommy gun, you don't have a lot of options. You can't really swim away because they'll shoot you with the Tommy gun, but if you stay where you are, then you're going to get hit by the grenade. This fight can be going very well and then turn south very quickly. It's just how it goes sometimes, but just keep at it. Keep trying to get rid of his B shield with that M37 and then go back to shooting him in the head with your Mark 22. I would also say that while headshots are definitely preferred, take really any shot that you can get on him because you just don't want that fight to go on for too long. Luckily, we are able to refill our ammo pretty quickly, but definitely getting body shots is better than getting no shots at all. Well, there's pheromones over on this island, so we're going to dive underwater and we're going to swim back to the other platform. And at this point, we'll talk about another tactic that you can use. If you're doing pretty well on health, then you maybe don't want to use that sneaking suit, and instead, we can use a different camo to get a big advantage here, and that's going to be the grenade camo. Let's open up the survival viewer and then go to camouflage, and we'll scroll down until we get down to the grenade camo. It's one of the starting camos that you could choose when beginning a new game. Now that we have unlimited grenade uses, we can then equip the smoke grenade, and we can use that to disperse his bees pretty quickly. We'll just aim over there, and when the grenade explodes, it's then going to remove all of his bees. But be careful though, because if you throw a grenade while he doesn't have the bee armor on, the bees will actually grab the grenade and throw it back over to you. So make sure that you're only using grenades when he's got his bee armor on. Also, if he causes his bees to carry grenades over to you, you can just grab the Patriot and spray bullets up into the air at the little balls of bees coming at you, and you can get rid of those grenades quickly. Here you can see the smoke grenade detonates, pushing all of his bees away, and it gives us a few seconds to try to hit him in the head a couple times with that Mark 22. Then we just have to repeat the process. Keep throwing smoke grenades at him, and then shoot him with the Mark 22. Rarely he can teleport over to you and just push you off the platform. It's annoying because then you have to swim back up, and you also lose some health. It's a very difficult attack to dodge because he doesn't telegraph it like his other attacks. He'll normally yell out grenade or Tommy gun, telling you exactly what he plans on doing, or where he lifts his leg up into the air, you can visually see what he's doing. But in that case of the teleport attack, he just disappears and shows up in front of you, so you're just gonna have to deal with that one if it happens. And speaking of telegraphing attacks, if he ever yells, "Come my bullet bees," or "Come out and play," immediately you have to roll off the platform and dive under the water to dodge those bullet bees. If the bullet bee does hit you, it's really serious because it's going to do a lot of damage, and it will also count as a serious injury. But worse than that, the bullet bee will continue to eat away at your life, and it doesn't take a long time for you to actually die from that attack. You immediately have to go into the survival viewer, go to the cure menu, and then use your knife to remove the bullet bee before it eats you alive. As this fight draws to a close, that's really all I have to say about it. And fighting the pain is definitely a pain. But like I said, if you can make it through this fight, which is definitely the most skill-based out of all the boss fights, then that FOXHOUND rank is pretty much as good as yours. Just stick with it, play defensively as necessary, and eventually you'll succeed. This fight took me between 8 and 10 minutes, but even if it took 20 or 30 minutes to succeed, that's still better than trying to rush it and be too aggressive and end up failing over and over again. After that fight, skip the following cutscene, and then we're going to move on. Well, I did get hit a couple times throughout the course of that fight, so I should probably put on that DPM camo just so that I can start gaining some health back while we move through the next few areas. The next areas are not very threatening to us, so we definitely don't need a high camo index at all. So now we're going to go into the water, and we're just going to swim forward, and we're going to go out back onto land. Then proceed forward through the narrow passageway, and that will take us into Chyornyj Peschera cave entrance. Let's open up the pause menu and go to records and titles to check how we're doing. Everything looks great, and we've been playing for a little over 36 minutes, which means we have almost 4.5 hours remaining until our deadline. Like I said, we've got a lot of time. Keep going along the narrow passageway. There's really nothing that we have to collect or do in here, and eventually it's going to open up a bit, and we're going to get a cutscene. Let's go ahead and skip that cutscene, and then we'll keep on going. Turn toward the left and keep following the path around. Eventually, the cave is going to open up again. At that point, keep going forward and through another narrow passageway, and that will take you out onto an elevated platform. From here, keep going forward until you get to this elbow in the path, and then just roll over the side, and you can land on the ground below. Then proceed forward into the water and go into Ponizovje South. Let's dive under the water, and we want to re-equip the suppressor onto the Mark 22. Then we'll grab the M1911A1 and shoot the crab on the ground right in front of us. We can then grab its meat, and we want to eat that to refill our stamina, which is getting pretty low at this point. Go into the survival viewer, choose food, and eat the Canyon mangrove crab to get most of your stamina back. Once you're done with that, then we can close out of the survival viewer, and we're going to proceed forward while swimming underwater. Thanks to our brown face paint, we don't have to resurface at all. We're just going to stick over toward the right-hand side, and we're going to avoid the searchlights. As long as you hug the right wall, you shouldn't really have a problem, even if you're going through it fast by mashing that action button to swim faster. The only one that you really have to worry about is the last one. It looks like it's on the right-hand side, but if you're patient, then it will move over toward the left side of the screen, and we can just keep going forward and we shouldn't be detected. If for some reason you do get the alert status, just reload the autosave and you should be fine. Continue going straight all the way to the end of this area and you'll go into Ponizovje Warehouse exterior, where we begin with a cutscene. Skip that cutscene, and then with the M1911A1 equipped, shoot the explosive barrels in the back. There's going to be one by the end in his wheelchair, and then another on the left-hand side. That will damage the end a bit, and then we'll use the Mark 22 just to shoot the guard out on the docks. You can really hit him anywhere, and then we just want to be patient. We can lay down in the water, and this guard shouldn't see us. The guard will call in reinforcements, and he's going to come running through the doorway in the back. So with the M1911A1 equipped, aim at the barrels just to the left of those stairs, and when the guard gets close, shoot it, blow him up, and then we can check out our records and titles section of the pause menu, and we're still at 0 humans killed. We just took out all the guards in this normally pretty tough area, and we don't have to worry about any of them. Now we're going to swim forward and we'll go over toward the docks on the left-hand side. Now let's surface, and then we can climb up onto the dock. We want to inspect the boats around this area. They will give us some more ammo and some more stun grenades, all very useful stuff. There's even some night vision goggles over by the guards here. So then we just want to make our way over toward the cement on the other side. You can either run on the docks or hop in the water. And then ultimately what you want to do is proceed up the stairs, turn left, and then go into Ponizovje Warehouse. From here we want to re-equip the Spirit Camo, so either go into the survival viewer or use the shortcut, and then we'll equip the Mark 22. We'll head up the stairs, turn left, and stick over toward the right-hand side. If you hop in this corner, you can go into first-person view mode and shoot the guard in the head. We're then going to crawl down the stairs to get to the lower level. Go over toward the right-hand side and crawl past these boxes. Then turn toward the right, and we're going to see a guard patrolling around down here on the ground floor. So we'll shoot him in the head, then we'll look up. Using the third-person aiming reticle, line up the guard's head with the top solid gray line to take him out. And then you want to aim up and toward the left to see another guard, use the middle solid gray line. If you can get the headshot, great, but if you miss and hit his body, just hit him a couple more times and then you'll be fine. After he's knocked out, we can get up and we're going to start going up the stairs. After going up 2 sets of stairs, then turn toward the left and go through the door. That will take you into a food storage room where we can get some pretty good pieces of food. Then we're going to keep going up the stairs until we get to the top. Turn left, run around, and go through the red doors on the right. This takes us into Graniny Gorki South. From here, all we're going to do is to proceed forward, go to the right of the large tree in front of you, and then just run straight toward the back. We'll climb up the ledge in front of us, and then go just past the big tree on the left, turn left about 45 degrees, then run straight ahead to get to another ledge. We'll climb up this one, and that will take us into the next area, Graniny Gorki Lab exterior outside walls. We'll proceed forward until we get to this patch of grass, then we're going to lie down and start going forward. We can basically ignore things in this area as we proceed forward. Don't go all the way on the left into the grass because there is a venomous snake there. Instead, just kind of crawl along the fence and shoot the guard when you get an opportunity. From this point, then just keep going forward and we're going to go to the far side. We're then going to get down and crawl through this opening in the fence, and then keep going forward until we reach the grass. Turn toward the right and go through the opening into the wall. Now, instead of being really sneaky and trying to get into this area, we can actually take a bit of a shortcut. We'll open up the survival viewer, go to camouflage, and we'll go down toward the bottom of the list until we can find the scientist uniform. It might be faster just to go up from the beginning and you'll cycle around toward the bottom. With the scientist uniform equipped and no face paint on, turn toward the left and go stand in front of this guard.
Huh? Not so fast. Huh? Running away, huh? Come on back to the lab.
We're brought into basement 1 east. We want to leave this room, turn left, and go around these guards until we can turn left at the end of the hallway and go straight up the stairs. This takes us into Graniny Gorki Lab, first floor. Go up the stairs, turn toward the right, and go up some more stairs. Keep going up even more stairs. And when we turn to the right, we'll see a guard walking over here. We'll quick change back into the spirit camo, run up and then stop behind him so that we can CQC grab him, not slam him. Then we're going to choke him out and we're going to refill all of our stamina when we choke him out. We can now quick change back into the scientist uniform. The spirit camo is definitely my favorite in the game. We'll then quick change back into the scientist uniform, roll over the ledge in front of us, and then turn around and go down the stairs. This will take us into Graniny Gorki Lab, basement 1 west. Go down the stairs and turn toward the right. Keep circling around, and we want to go into the office on the right hand side, and in the back we can get the cigarette gas spray. Then turn around, go back through the door, and enter the wooden door. The guards in green in this area really don't care about us, but the scientists in white definitely do care, and they will notice us. So wait just for a minute for this one scientist to walk back the other direction past the TV, and then you're going to go through the wooden doors. We then want to be patient for the next scientist to go over into the workstation on the right, and then once he's there, we'll proceed forward quickly past the guard, and we're going to go through the doors and get some story cutscenes. We'll skip past all of those story cutscenes, and then we're going to be back in control of our character. Now we're going to proceed forward through the door and then quickly turn right, run past all these workstations, and go through the door. If we're speedy, we can just make our way back the way that we came past the office, and we're going to go back up the stairs to the first floor. Go up the stairs and then turn toward the right. Keep going forward, and we're going to exit through the door in front of us. Then turn left, run past the guard, and go to the back left corner. But before you go out, then stop a second, and we're going to change our camouflage once again. So in the survival viewer, choose camouflage, and go down, and we're going to choose the FOXHOUND camo. After that, we can go ahead and leave this menu, and we're going to go through the door. Let's crouch down, turn toward the right, and start walking over diagonally to the right until we get in between these trucks. If we move quickly, the enemies shouldn't see us. I believe you can also crawl under the truck on the left side to get some more ammo if necessary, and then go through the crawl space in the long grass. Once we're back in the outside walls area, we'll turn over toward the left, and we're going to crawl back through the open spot on the electric fence. Now turn toward the left, and we're going to start making our way along the rightmost side. We've got a good camo index while crawling, so we'll make our way forward, but don't go through the long grass. Instead, stay over toward the left of it to avoid that venomous snake. Keep going just alongside this tree, and then make your way over toward the long grass by the bird. Once we get to the long grass, it's pretty safe to start crouch walking toward the exit, and we want to get ourselves set up for the next boss fight. So go back into the survival viewer, go to backpack, and we're going to go over to items. We'll grab our thermal goggles. Our FOXHOUND camo gives us unlimited battery usage for those thermal goggles, so we can use them as much as we want. We'll proceed forward into Graniny Gorki South. We'll get a boss introduction cutscene for the Fear. Let's skip over that. and then immediately we begin the fight envenomated. So go into the survival viewer, go down to cure, and then we're going to select the venom poisoning. Go over toward the left and use serum. And then for the arrow wound, we can use the styptic, the disinfectant, and the knife to cure that. Unfortunately, because we were attacked during the cutscene, we begin the fight with a little bit less health than full. Let's equip those thermal goggles, and then we want to remove the suppressor from our Mark 22. The fear begins directly behind us up in the tree, so turn around quickly and get a shot off on him. He'll keep jumping between tree branches, only shoot at him when he's up close to you. It's too hard to hit with the Mark 22 when he's far away, so take the easy shots because our ammo is in kind of low supply. Eventually the fear is going to jump quite a ways away from you, and that gives us an opportunity to get set up for the second part of this fight. So look on the ground and you're going to see a couple frogs. You want to use either the M1911A1 or the Patriot to kill these frogs and collect their meat. Stay mobile while you're doing this because if you stay still for too long, then the fear has a good shot at hitting you. So keep running around in circles, moving around, and collect the poison dart frogs off the ground. We then want to go into the survival viewer and equip those poison dart frogs like their weapons. We'll then open up the weapon menu and we're going to equip that poison dart frog and we're going to start throwing them around the area. If you see the fear get close again, then switch to the Mark 22 and start shooting him. You definitely don't want to get hit with his grenade attack. It looks like it missed, but keep moving out of the way so that the explosion doesn't get you. Once those poison dart frogs are scattered across the area, we want to start removing good food sources like the European rabbit hopping around in this area. There's also going to be some good fruit up in the tree. You might want to shoot that, but also make sure that you collect it. Anything that you shoot down, collect so that the fear does not go and get it himself. The mushrooms that I collected at the base of those trees are actually fly agaric mushrooms, and those are also poisonous. So let's go ahead and equip that, and then we can throw this around the area as well. Eventually the fear gets hungry and has to eat, and we want him to eat something poisonous so that he doesn't refill his stamina. In fact, if it's poisonous, eventually he has to come down on the ground and throw it up, which causes a massive loss in stamina to him. But you can interrupt him throwing up by quickly shooting him, and that's going to reset his animation. He'll have to climb back up in the tree and move to somewhere else, climb back down, and then try to throw up again. The whole time he's not going to be attacking us, which just means that we can get some free damage on him. That being said, there are times when the boss's health bar or stamina bar are grayed out, and that means that we're not actually able to do additional damage to them. So it can be frustrating because it looks like you can get a good clean shot off on them, and then you're just not actually able to do any damage to them. All in all, this fight isn't too hard as long as you prepare accordingly and make sure that you're leaving poison out on the ground for him to pick up when he's hungry and he's not eating good food. If he does eat good food, it's going to refill a lot of his stamina, and we just don't have the Mark 22 ammo to really deal with that. If he does happen to get some good food and eat it and refill a lot of his stamina, then just reload the autosave when we begin the fight and we can try again. Well, now the fear has very little stamina left. He's also envenomated, so he's going to try to throw up, and we're just going to wait for a good opportunity to shoot him on the ground, and then that will be the end of the fight. This is the post-fight cutscene. We'll just skip over that, and then we'll keep going. Just for fun, let's open up the pause menu and go down to records and titles. Everything looks good so far, and our time is at 51 minutes and 52 seconds. Plenty of time left. We'll then proceed forward, going through the trees and running straight ahead until we can climb up on the ledge. But before we go into the Ponizovje Warehouse, we want to change up our uniform so that it autosaves when we go into the next area. So go into the camouflage menu of the survival viewer, and we're going to re-equip this spirit camo. Now let's close the survival viewer, and we want to reattach our suppressor onto the Mark 22. Once we're ready, proceed forward into the Ponizovje Warehouse. You want to start by crouch walking over toward the railing in front of you on the right hand side. We're then going to hang over this railing and we can drop down. While still crouch walking, go over to the railing behind you, and then in first person view mode you can shoot the guard in the middle of this area. There's one guard up and to the left and another guard down on the bottom who are going to come and investigate. Start by shooting the guard in the upper left anywhere in the body, and then get a headshot on the guard below you as he walks into view. Now we're going to lie down and we're going to start crawling over toward the stairs that lead down. There's a guard on the lower platform, but he starts walking down the stairs, and we're going to sneak up behind him using that spirit camo, and we're going to start CQC strangling him to get all of our stamina back. Then once he's knocked out, all the other guards should be passed out from our tranquilizer rounds, and we'll move down to the bottom level. We just had a boss fight and we'll have another one in a few minutes, and we're pretty low on Mark 22 ammo, so let's start searching these guards by picking them up and dropping them 2 times, and we're going to search them for Mark 22 ammo. I was able to get some by searching one of the guards in the middle, as well as the guard who was walking down the stairs earlier that we shot anywhere on his body. So let's go ahead and search him. Unfortunately, he did drop it off the stairs, which was a little bit of an inconvenience because it just meant that I had to go back down the stairs and around the corner to pick it up. After searching those enemies, we're pretty good on Mark 22 ammo now. We've got 21 out of 25 shots, but we need to make it through the next areas with using as few shots as possible, so we've got as much as we can for the next boss fight. So we'll go through the red doors, up the stairs, and exit out into Svyatogornyj South. From here, we're going to go forward until we get another mandatory radio call. Let's skip through it by fast forwarding it. Now keep going forward and follow the path over toward the left as it goes up a hill. Go over toward the right and then proceed along the path until we go into the next area. This is Svyatogornyj West. Start by going forward and over toward the right. We're going to follow this path along, and we're going to eventually go through this narrow passageway with some long grass. Keep going forward, running all the way along the path until you get to this tree stump and the tall tree next to it. We'll crouch down and we want to stay right by this tree stump. There's actually a guard behind it, and in a second, he's going to come walking over toward the left side of the screen. He's looking the other way, so we can run around and then CQC slam him. Proceed forward while staying over toward the right side, and we want to get down into this patch of grass. We'll then crawl forward and we can look in between these trees in first person view mode, and we can shoot the guard. After that, we're going to stand back up, run past the guard, and we're going to keep following the path toward the back. Eventually we'll see a guard up on top of a hill, so we can crouch walk over to him and CQC slam him. Be careful because there's another guard in this area right behind a tree. We'll just position ourselves right on the other side of that tree so he doesn't see us, and then we can CQC slam him. If we were to use the path behind us, that would take us into the boss arena, but we don't really want to do that because that could cause some problems, especially if we have to save the game and then come back later on. So instead what we'll do is we're going to proceed over toward the opposite end of this area, and we'll go through the path that will take us into Svyatogornyj East. From here, we'll turn around and go back the way that we came, going back into Svyatogornyj West. At this point, we want to go into the survival viewer and choose camouflage, and we're going to equip the moss camo that we got from the end when we fought him in the previous playthrough. We'll also equip the woodland face paint just for a little bit more camo index. Now let's open up the radio by holding down the down directional button, and we'll call paramedic to save the game. After saving the game, then paramedic's going to want to talk to us about movies, skip through all of that quickly, and then we'll keep going. Proceed forward and keep toward the right, and we're going to circle around. Then run forward through the trees until you get to the solid wall in the back. From here, turn left and then just follow the path around and to the right, and that will take you into Sokrovenno South. There's going to be a cutscene introducing the end, so we'll skip through that and then we'll begin the fight against him. Let's begin by going forward, and we want to go to the right side of the large mountain in front of us. Stick low as you move forward so that the end doesn't see us as easily. Go through the tall grass and then start crawling as you make your way toward the top of the hill. The end is going to begin in this area somewhere on an elevated position. You can see his rifle scope glimmering in the sun sometimes, and you can also use your thermal goggles to zero in on him. You definitely want to make sure that you remove the suppressor from your Mark 22 because we don't need to be stealthy here for this section. Then line up your shot, making sure you aim a little high, use the tactical reload, and try to get 3 shots in against him. If you do that successfully, then he will run off and not attack you. We then want to start chasing him down, so get down off that ledge, proceed forward, and go over toward the left. We're going to follow this path into Sokrovenno North. There's a couple places the end could be here. One of the main ones is going to be on the left-hand side, so run forward, and then you want to crouch down and start crawling through this tall grass. Keep crawling as you go around the corner to your left. There's a good chance that the end could be up on the hill behind you, and if that's the case, then what we want to do is start shooting at him with that Mark 22. So get close, use your thermal goggles to confirm his location, aim a little bit high, and hit him with 3 tactically reloaded tranquilizer rounds. Now he's going to start running, and he can only run over toward the right side. So we're going to make our way over here. If you get too close to the corner, he might spot you and throw a stun grenade. That's okay, just turn your character away from that stun grenade and it won't bother you too much, and you can get some free shots in his back as he runs forward. That does give him a bit of a speed boost though, but keep up on him and just chase him down. The trick to fighting the end is to stay as close to him as possible and keep trying to get up behind him. Keep an eye on him, make sure you know which way he's going, and always try to sneak around from the side to get that advantage behind him. Now he did set up shop over in the top right hand corner there, so we need to be pretty careful going around this corner. We'll change into the spirit camo so that he can't hear our footsteps as we approach. Now he already knows that we're right behind this wall and he's facing in this direction, so we can't sneak up behind him. However, we can turn the camera so that we're looking at him and we'll know where he is before he can see us. And when we come around the corner, we can already be ready to start shooting him before he has a chance to attack. So 3 more tactically reloaded shots, and he's going to be gone. He'll throw that stun grenade, make sure we're not facing it, and then keep chasing him down. Be cautious when going around corners. Always swing the camera around first to get a look at where he is, because you never know if he's going to get into some tall grass and turn and look at you and get a free shot on you. Well, now we can see that he's going into a different area, so we'll follow him out, and that will take us into Sokrovenno South. Now we don't really know which way he went, but if we equip the thermal goggles, we can look at the ground and start to follow his footprints. As we go forward, I actually hear him say sweet dreams, which means he's about to attack us with his tranquilizer gun, the Maznagant. So we definitely want to get low as possible, and then we can hide out behind these rocks here. We can then crawl, and we're going to keep some trees and other debris between us and him. As he's more focused on looking straight down that pathway, we can circle around toward the right-hand side and he won't see us coming. We'll stay low as we approach him from the side. Now, unfortunately, he's very in tune with the plant life around him. If we were just to march through that long grass, he would notice it. So I'm going to throw a stun grenade over in his direction that's going to blind him for a second and allow us to get up close to him. When the stun grenade goes off, he's going to be temporarily blinded, so we can run forward with the Mark 22 and get a couple shots off on him. Remember that when his health and stamina bar turn gray, don't do any more attacks because they won't do anything to him. Again, be sure to turn away from his stun grenade, follow him as best as you can, use your thermal goggles if necessary to confirm the direction of his footprints, and just keep chasing him down. In this case, he turned left and he went into a new area, so let's follow him out, and that will take us into Sokrovenno West. Let's keep going forward and use the thermal goggles to confirm the location that he's heading. We'll stay over toward the right-hand side, and the rocky outcropping gives us some natural cover. I can see his rifle scope glimmering in the distance, and that tells me he's right over there in that patch of grass. So we'll sneak forward and go over toward the right so we can go behind him, and that way he won't see us approach. We're getting low on Mark 22 ammo, but we've got a secret weapon in our backpack, the cigarette gas spray. Now we can hold down L1, and we're going to sneak forward through the grass with that cigarette gas spray equipped, and we're going to get right up behind him. Ready the weapon with L2 and then use R2 to start spraying him, and 3 good sprays will take away a lot of his stamina. He's then going to throw his stun grenade and start running, and we're just going to keep following him. I'm not taking shots on him with the Mark 22 because I don't want to completely run out of ammo. I've only got 4 shots left, and I also don't want to completely run out of the cigarette gas spray either because we'll need some of that later. So make sure that you keep around 6 puffs or so of that cigarette gas spray. As you go through an area, you might hear the end breathing loudly. That just tells you that he's up close. If I had been a little bit more aggressive here and run around the corner, I would have caught him as he stands by the riverbank. Instead, once he catches his breath, he'll take off running again. Now let's keep going forward, crossing the river, and we're going to sneak up on him again. Thanks to the spirit camouflage, he has no idea where we are, so we can just sneak right up behind him, and we're going to cigarette gas spray him again. Again, get close, give him 3 good puffs, and that will take away almost all of his stamina. He's very low on stamina at this point, and I thought that I could win with a couple Mark 22 shots, but I went just to the left both times, and he was able to escape. No big deal though, we can chase him down as we proceed forward into Sokrovenno North. We'll go forward while using the thermal goggles to confirm his location and his tracks. He actually didn't go too far at all, he's just ahead of us. So let's sneak up right behind him and use the cigarette gas spray a couple more times, and that will end the end. Now we get a post-fight cutscene, so let's go ahead and skip that. And then we want to head over toward the left side, and we're going to go down this hill. We'll proceed forward and we're going to grab the Maznagant off the ground. This weapon is really going to help us later on. Then we're going to proceed up the nearby hill until we get to the top. Keep turning toward the right and then continue up the hill. Once you get to the end of the path, turn toward the left and then just take this straight until you go into the new area. This takes us into Krasnogorje Tunnel. There's not much to do here apart from climbing up the very long ladder in front of us, and when you get to the top, then proceed out the door, and along the way, enjoy the music.
With darkness and silence through the night, what a thrill. I'm searching and I'll melt into you. What a fear in my heart, but you're so supreme. I give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I fly to you. I'm still in a dream, snake eater.
Following the fight with the end, there's a good chance that you won't have much ammo coming into this area, so I'll show you how to do this without using your Mark 22 at the beginning. We'll proceed forward. If you want to avoid being seen pretty easily, change into a camo like the Desert Tiger or the Animals camo, and you shouldn't have a problem being seen. Otherwise, with the Spirit camo equipped, you can just crouch walk and follow the outside left edge of this cliff, and we're going to go around. We got to go through this area pretty quickly because even if we knock out these guards, the birds of this area could eat the guards, and that can count as a kill. We'll sneak up behind the first guard we come to, and with the Spirit camo equipped, we can then choke him out in CQC, and that will give us all of our stamina back. At that point, you want to shake down the guard by picking him up and dropping him, and we can get some ammo. Now, this could be a little bit tricky because there is a guard in the distance who can see us, so this is where changing into a different type of camo could come in handy. But we did get some more ammo from that guard. We'll put on the Mark 22 suppressor, and then we can shoot the guard as he approaches us. We'll then turn toward the left, and there's another guard that we want to take down. Once he's down, then we're going to start crawling over in his direction. As we go over toward the side, there's going to be another guard over on our right in the distance, so let's go ahead and shoot him. You don't really need to get a headshot on this guard, any body shot will do. Then we're going to crawl through the crawl space in this big rock, and that's actually going to give us a lot more Mark 22 ammo. There's going to be another guard directly in front of us, so you need to be careful crawling up and over this hill. Don't get too close, otherwise he might see you. When he turns around, he's actually going to turn to face us first, so hide behind this rocky hill, and then when he starts moving toward the right side of the screen, we can get up and go around behind him and CQC slam him out. Now we're just going to go over this little hill, and we can go through the narrow passageway into the next area, and this is going to take us into Krasnogorje Mountainside. If you've got the Spirit camo, you'll immediately be seen, but that's okay, we actually kind of want that. All we have to do is to crouch walk forward, and that guard won't actually see us and call in an alert, but he will start to move down the hill, which is good. We're going to proceed up the path, and we're going to sit by this little half rock here, and we're going to wait until the guard at the top will turn and face the right side of the screen. As soon as he does that, then we can pop out, go around behind him, and CQC slam him. We've got a few seconds that we can duck into this cave, and we can collect a few items. After that, come out and sit next to this other half rock. We're going to wait for the guard in the distance to come down the hill. He's going to walk pretty slowly, and all we have to do is to keep the big rock in between us and the guard. He's going to come around toward the right side of the rock, and we'll start circling around toward the left. As soon as he gets nearby, we can pop out and CQC slam him. Now let's keep going up the hill. We want to move to the next guard fairly quickly, so stand up and don't crouch walk, and then make your way all the way up the hill. Once we go up this hill, turn toward the right, and there's going to be another guard up here, so CQC slam him. Now keep moving forward and then stop by the nearby half rock. We're just going to sit right here, and we're going to wait for the nearby guard around the corner to turn around. It may take a few seconds, just be patient with it. Once he turns around, then pop out and go over and CQC slam him. After slamming that guard, we're going to keep following the narrow path as it goes around the edge of the cliff, and then we're going to open up into a wider area. At this point, we want to go into the camouflage menu, and we're going to equip the Desert Tiger camo. That will allow us to not be seen more easily, and it will protect our suppressors from wearing out. We'll keep going forward a little bit, and there's going to be 2 guards in this area. While crawling forward, we can see one guard on the left by the anti-air gun. He might turn around too quickly for us to get a shot, but there is a guard on the right-hand side. If we line up his head with the top solid gray line of the third-person reticle, we can hit him pretty easily. The other guard is then going to see him and start calling in reinforcements. At that point, he can't see very well, so we can pop out and shoot him in the head. We'll then go into the small building nearby, and we can grab the RPG-7. After that, we'll hop back up these ledges, and we want to make our way over toward the right, going in between some buildings toward the back of the area. But be careful because there is a guard around the corner to the left, so you can either CQC slam him or just shoot him in the head, and then go through the passage on the right. That will take us into the Krasnogorje Mountaintop. This is a pretty fun area, even without the spirit camo. We'll wait for the guard up on the top of the hill by the anti-air gun to turn around, and then we're going to move forward, and if we get close enough to the guard, we can CQC slam him before he notices us and turns around. Remember, he can hear our footsteps, but if we're fast, we can do this. Go down in the trench and CQC slam the next guard, then keep going up the trench while turning toward the left. Keep going until you can take another left, and then slam the next guard you come to. Let's hop up onto these ledges to get up top, and then we'll slam the next guard. I definitely recommend running while standing up straight, because if you crouch walk, you're not moving fast enough and the enemy might hear you. We'll come up top by this barrel and then start crawling, and we're going to be able to shoot the guard in the distance with a headshot pretty easily. Keep making your way toward the path on the right hand side, and there's going to be another guard by the barrel. We want to crawl up the slope a little bit just so he can't see us, and we'll wait till he turns and starts walking over toward the left side of the screen. When that happens, we can stand up, run over there, and then slam him before he can see us. That's all the guards of this area, so what we want to do is to run forward along the path, hop down into the trench, and then keep going up until you can go through the red door at the top. That's going to kick off a whole bunch of cutscenes, so just skip over all of them until we can get back in control of our character. Now we're going to turn around and go back into the building behind us. There are some items in this area. If you look around here toward the left-hand side, there's going to be some food items, and you can also find some ammunition as well, but we don't really need those, so we'll just proceed forward and through the red door to go back to the Krasnogorje Mountaintop. Let's switch back to the spirit camo, and then we'll start making our way down the hill. We want to look for where it opens up on the right hand side, and we're just going to stop right here, and we're going to wait for our next guard to come walking through this area along the path on the right. He won't turn around and see us. We're just going to wait till he goes over toward where those ledges are, and right before he starts to climb up, then we can go behind him and we can grab him in CQC mode, and we're going to choke him out and get our stamina back. Once he's unconscious, we'll let him go, then we can climb up these ledges nearby, and then go over toward the left-hand side. There's a little bit of a slope here that we can go down. Keep toward the left side of this area, hugging that left wall, and go down to the bottom. There's a couple guards here, but if you crawl over toward the red door, you shouldn't be able to be seen. However, if you wanted to take it more safely, then you can just shoot him with the Mark 22. Once the coast is clear, we'll open up the red door, and we'll go inside to enter Groznyj Grad Underground Tunnel. We'll open up the pause screen, and then we'll check out records and titles, making sure everything's okay. We have no people killed, so those birds did not kill anyone by accident. And once we feel confident, we'll make our way down the stairs. If you want to go a little bit faster, then you can just roll down these stairs. When you get to the bottom, if you turn around toward the right and kind of run back the way that you came, there are some items in the back of that hallway. Otherwise, just keep running forward. There's some items here. If you turn toward the right, there's some more items. And then you just want to keep running around down the pathway and over toward the right. But don't go down just yet, because we want to prepare ourselves for the next boss fight. Starting off, we're going to go into the survival viewer, and we're going to choose camouflage. Scroll down, and we're going to select the black uniform. And then for face paint, we're also going to choose the black face paint. That will help us to stay pretty well hidden in this area when we fight the Fury. After that, we'll go into the backpack. We want to remove the cigarette gas spray. We can then remove the Patriot and the M37, but we'll take the Mazda Nagant. Then go over to the item tab. We already have the thermal goggles equipped, but I would recommend taking cardboard box A because it can be very handy in the fight. Once we're ready, then we're going to remove the suppressor from the Mark 22, and then we can hop down the ledge toward the right, and we'll begin the battle against the Fury. We've got no opening cutscene, so skip over that, and then if you want to, call paramedic and save the game. We're going to go forward, and we're going to go up onto the ledge at the end of this area. Then we want to look down all these hallways until we can see where the Fury is. If you turn up the game's brightness, it makes it pretty easy to look down these hallways, and you won't need the thermal goggles. Once you're able to see him, you want to equip the Moznagant, aim down there, and we want to shoot him more in the body of this area. I wouldn't recommend going for headshots, just go for body shots. Try to hit him 3 times to knock him down, and then you want to move over toward the side so that you're able to get away from where he is. His flamethrower has pretty good range, so you definitely want to be careful about facing him head on like this, but he still doesn't see us, and that gives us another good opportunity to get a couple more body shots off of him. You don't want to hit him in the limbs, and you don't want to hit him on his jetpack on the back. It has very little stamina damage, and it doesn't seem like headshots do very well either, so again, just go for center mass chest shots. Once he gets down to about half health, he becomes a lot more aggressive, so if you change into the fire camouflage, you'll be a lot more protected. He'll start spraying fire all over the place, and this new camouflage prevents us from taking a ton of damage that we otherwise would be taking if we still had the black camouflage on. Now let's keep hunting him by going toward the edges of these areas, and we'll look to see where he's at. It's a pretty good indication if you see flames shooting out of one of these tunnels, you know he's that way, and you can prepare to shoot him when he comes into view. You always want to get 3 good shots in. That's going to knock him down and give you an opportunity to run away. Now there is a lot of fire in this area, and fire is obviously very dangerous for us. With the fire camouflage, it's not that bad. But if you ever do get hit and get caught on fire, then put on the cardboard box to extinguish the flames. You can also equip the box just to run through the fire on the ground, and you won't take any damage. That's right, the cardboard box is immune to fire. Well, this pretty much ends the fight. The Moznagant makes this a very quick and easy battle, takes away a ton of his stamina if we hit him with it 3 times, and then once he's defeated, then we'll have another cutscene that we should skip. In the original Metal Gear Solid 3, that was a very tough fight for me getting that FOXHOUND rank, but that was actually a first try battle for me, so it's significantly easier in this version of the game. After that, we'll run around and we'll collect some supplies and then head up the ladder, and that will take us into Groznyj Grad Southwest. We'll get another cutscene that we want to skip over, and then we'll be in control of our character again. We want to start by quick changing back into our spirit camo so our footprints are silent, and then we want to re-equip the suppressor onto the Mark 22, and we'll carry that. Let's go up the nearby stairs, and we're going to crouch walk forward between the shipping containers and over toward the hangars in the back. Turn toward the right and stick close to hangar number 63, the guard shouldn't see you, then run over toward the barricade, turn toward the right, continue to crouch walk forward, and then we're going to go through the red door at the end of this hallway. If you're quick enough, the enemy won't see you as long as you're crouch walking. Now in Groznyj Grad Northeast, we're going to turn toward the right, and we're going to run down this hallway, then turn toward the left and CQC slam the guard that you come to. Use the top solid gray line of the third-person reticle, and you're able to get a good headshot on this guard. Then you can go forward, and there's a few items in the back of this truck that you might want to check out. So we can hop right up inside of it, and then grab everything. And what we want to do is to go through the red door in front of the truck, into the left. This is going to take us into Groznyj Grad Weapons Lab East Wing. We're immediately going to go into our camouflage menu, and we want to equip the scientist uniform once again and make sure that you have no face paint. Then grab the cigarette gas spray out of your backpack, and we're going to run forward along the path with that cigarette gas spray equipped. We can get right up in these guards' faces and they won't really bother us, and then we're just going to give them a couple puffs. Usually 1 is enough, but if your aim is a little bit off, then use 2 puffs and take them down. Keep running around the hallway and you'll find another guard. Let's go right up into his face and we'll knock him out with another puff of the cigarette gas spray. We've now made a complete circle around this area, then go up the stairs and over toward the right to circle back. There is a guard in this area, so we're going to run over here and we're just going to let him sit for just a second. Our real target is Rykov, who's going to be coming out of this door in just a moment, but we don't want to hit him while that door is still open because the scientists inside can see us. So just be patient and let Rykov move away from the door will close, and now we can spray him. Then follow the path around and we can spray the guard. That really takes out all the threats of being seen, so let's go back over to Rykov, and we're going to choose to pick him up, and we're going to drag him back over along the hallway to the guard that we just sprayed, and we're going to go into the door on the right. Now, normally we don't have security clearance to get through the door, but because we're dragging Rykov, it will automatically open the door and allow us to go inside. Because we cleared out all the guards on the ground floor, no one's going to be able to see us as we do this. Then go past the partition, and we're going to drag him into the locker area. There's some more cutscene stuff, so we'll skip over that. Now let's go into the survival viewer, and we're going to select camouflage. On the uniform tab, select officer. And then go over to the face paint tab, and we're going to equip the mask. Now that we're nearly perfectly disguised as Rykov, we can go through the door in the corner of this room. That will take us into Groznyj Grad Weapons Lab main wing. Nothing much to do here other than follow the yellow stripe on the ground, and that will take us all the way into the next area. There's no guards or anything that you need to worry about in this zone. Let's go through the door at the end of the hallway to enter the West Wing corridor. We're then just going to run forward, and between the two guards at the end, that's going to kick off some more cutscenes that of course we should skip, and then we're going to be at the torture sequence. If there's one thing that could be said about Metal Gear Solid Delta, it's that they really cleaned up a lot of the bugs and the exploits of the game, and the torture sequence is no different. In the original Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, you could hold open the item menu the entire time that you're going through this torture sequence, and you would not take any of the damage from Volgin punching you. However, that has been removed in this version of the game, so we have to take the damage. Luckily, it's not that bad, and it really won't affect us for this playthrough. So all we have to do for this point is just to go through it. There's nothing that we can do. We can't skip it. We just have to sit through getting punched over and over again and watching our health go down. But then we regain control and all of our health is back, so no big deal. Pick up the fork inside the jail cell, then open up the survival viewer, go down to cure, and then use the fork in order to remove the bullet, which is actually a fake death pill, and also remove the transmitter to make a future section very easy. Now the guard's going to throw in a little bit of food. It's going to be a bat, which doesn't taste very good, but pick it up off the ground. We then have to wait until the guard starts to walk away from us. He will pause right here, so don't be a little bit too hasty. Just wait until he stops, and then he's going to proceed over toward the left side of the screen while turning his back to us. At that point, what we want to do is we want to open up the radio menu. We'll then press triangle to open the radio screen, and then we want to tune the radio to frequency 140.16. We'll go ahead and send that, and that will call the healing radio, and we'll get all of our stamina back. You can either listen to the music or stop it, and then we want to tune the frequency of our radio to frequency 144.75. Once we call this one, we'll get a message that the door has been unlocked. We'll close out of the radio, and then the door will open. We want to equip the single action army, and then we'll run outside and roll over the guard to knock him over. At that point, we'll get close to him, and as he starts getting up, we're just going to keep hitting the R2 button or the CQC button, and we'll keep hitting him until we knock him out. Let's pick up the guard a couple times. We're going to get some smoke grenades, and we're also going to get some instant noodles off of him. Now, we don't need those instant noodles because we just refilled all of our stamina, but we're going to hold on to those for a little bit later on in the game. Then we want to escape through the door at the end of the hallway. Back out into Groznyj Grad Southeast, move over toward the edge of this wall and wait till the guard behind it turns around. As soon as he does, then run forward to the wall, turn toward the right and run through the shadows until you can hide behind this large group of barrels. If you position the camera carefully, you're able to see a guard over on the other side of these barrels. He's going to walk forward, and then he's going to turn and start walking over toward the right side of the screen. At that point, we want to crouch walk over toward the left, and then proceed forward toward the crawl space, and we can exit into the next area. And that will take us into Groznyj Grad Northeast. From here, we're going to get up and we're going to crouch walk over toward the left while hugging that left wall. There is going to be a door along the way, but don't go through it. Just keep going through here, and the guards over on the right side that we can't see also won't be able to see us. And then keep going forward and go through the red door at the end. Now that we're in Groznyj Grad Northwest, we want to go forward and we want to turn right and go in between the row of tanks while crouch walking. The guard will see us and then we'll turn toward the left and he's going to start walking over in our direction. Stay toward the back of the tanks and then wait for the guard to walk away. We can then keep crouch walking over toward the fence and then hug that left wall as we go around some trucks. There'll be a guard walking around here, but just stick over toward the left-hand side and hug that left wall as you go over toward a large barrel. Now start moving toward the right behind the other truck and be careful not to step on the loud ground, those metal grates on the right. All in all, you should be able to get through this section pretty easily as long as you crouch walk and then just crawl underneath these red pipes, and that will take you down into the Groznyj Grad sewers. Once you get down to the bottom of the ladder, you'll get a mandatory radio call, so just skip through that by fast forwarding, and then we'll continue on. We want to start by going down the stairs. Again, if you want to move a little bit faster, just roll down the stairs. Once you get to the bottom, then turn around and head back the other direction. We want to run down the middle of this waterway, and when we get down toward the grates at the end, we're going to turn toward the left and we're going to climb up onto the ledge. Now let's go through the crawl space and then go over toward the right. We'll then go through another crawl space to take us back into the waterway. Cross over the waterway and go up the stairs. Run past the first opening you come to, and then at the second opening on the right hand side, we'll crawl through the crawl space. Get up and keep going along the path, and then go back through another crawl space to go into the waterway, then turn toward the right and run toward the light in the distance. There'll be another cutscene that we should skip, and then we're going to begin the battle against the Sorrow. We already have the spirit camo, so there's no reason for us to go through this whole river. Just dive underwater and wait for your breath to run out. Your breath is that blue bar that covers your stamina meter. The more stamina you have, the longer this is going to take, but ultimately it's just a few seconds. As soon as you run out of breath, you're also going to start losing life very rapidly, and very soon we're going to be completely out of life and it's going to look like we died. Once we get the game over screen, do not select either continue nor exit. Instead, open up the item menu and we're going to choose to use the revival pill, and that will bring us back to life and complete the sequence. Skip through all the cutscenes and then skip through the following radio transmission.
Eva?
Starting off in Tikhogornyj, we're going to turn toward the right and go across the river. When you get to the wall, turn toward the left, and then follow the path forward and over toward the left. You'll soon see a log that's going to be going across the river. Climb up on the log and use it as a bridge to go to the other side. Then turn right and go into the river following this upper path, and when you get to the log in front of you, turn right and then go back onto land. Follow the path around and toward the left. You'll go past some trees, go back into the river, and then follow it until you get to the waterfall in the distance. Take the narrow path on the right side of the waterfall, and that will take you to Tikhogornyj behind waterfall. There's a bunch of cutscenes that you want to skip in this area, and then afterwards you can either save the game or not. At this point, we're going to go forward. We can grab the items in this area, and then we want to keep going down the hallway. There's a few things that we want to get as we go through here, and those are Russian glowcap mushrooms, which you can find on the ground. They're the glowing green mushrooms, so make sure that when you see them, you equip something like the single action army, If you don't have that, then grab a weapon out of your backpack, shoot the glowing green mushrooms to collect them, and then keep going down the path until you find some more glowing green mushrooms. We want to shoot those as well, and then we'll collect them. Then go through the red door on our left and use the ladder to climb back up into Groznyj Grad Northwest. There's going to be another little cutscene as we go up here, so we're just going to skip over that quickly. And then the first thing that we want to do once we get into Groznyj Grad Northwest is we want to equip our spirit camo once again, so we can just use the quick change menu to make that fast. Now let's open up the survival viewer and we're going to choose backpack. On the weapon tab, we'll unequip the fork and we'll take the Mark 22. We'll remove the single action army and we'll take the Patriot. We'll go down and take the Mosin Nagant and the RPG-7. We can remove the smoke grenade and take the C3. We can then remove the vampire bat and instant noodles, and we'll take the 2 Russian glow caps that we just collected. On the item tab, we can remove the cigar, and if you want the AT camouflage, then take that at this time. We'll close out the menu, and we don't want to run forward toward that guard because there's actually a lot of guards right in front of the tank by us, so be very careful going through here so that you don't get seen by those guys. You might want to call paramedic and save the game just for safety after making all those changes to the equipment. But ultimately, run over toward the right side's big red gate and then go behind these big barrels. We can then wait for the lone guard behind the barrels to turn around. That gives us a good opportunity to run over there and we can take him down. Now we're just going to go forward and we'll go through the red door. That's going to take us into Groznyj Grad Northeast. Let's turn toward the right and go against this right wall. If we hang out behind these boxes for just a second, we'll see the guard run off, and then we can run forward across the street, and we just want to make our way behind this hangar. We'll follow the path down and over toward the left, where we can then CQC slam a guard. There's going to be another guard in front of us, but we can just ignore him. Make sure that you're crouch walking through this area so none of the guards see you, and then make your way forward and through the red door to re-enter Groznyj Grad Weapons Lab East Wing. Just for safety, we're going to quick change back into the scientist's uniform, and that way we can go through here without anyone seeing us. Now we'll turn left, we'll run down the hallway and up the stairs on the far side. Once we go through the doorway, turn left and make your way all the way to the leftmost room with the lockers. We want to go toward the series of lockers on the left-hand side and open up the second one that is going to give us the maintenance uniform. At that point, we're going to go forward and go through the door on the far side to go into the main wing. We get a cutscene here that we cannot skip, so just let it play out. There's also going to be a radio transmission after that, but you can fast forward through that.
Snake, I see you've managed.
Well, our scientist uniform isn't really useful in this area because the guys around here are wearing the maintenance uniform, so what we want to do is to go into the survival viewer, choose camouflage, and change into the maintenance uniform. At that point, we're going to leave the menu and then equip our C3. We can roll over the railing and then proceed forward and go up the ramp. On the left side against the wall is going to be a large fuel container. Hold down L2 to ready the weapon and then press R2 to stick the C3 onto the fuel tank. We'll run down and then over toward the left, trying to stay away from the other maintenance workers who can spot us, and we'll go to the back left corner to put another C3 on this fuel tank. We'll then get a mandatory radio call that we should skip through, and then we'll be free to go to the next tank. We'll keep making our way back the way that we came, and we want to go to the fuel cell in the back right corner. Once we get over here, we can then place another C3 here. Now if we hug the right wall, we can go between the truck and the wall, and then we'll turn left and go up a ramp. There is a maintenance worker up here, but he shouldn't see us. We can climb the stairs and then hang out between the wall and the fuel tank. And now we can change our camouflage to get ready for the next fight. So we're going to remove this maintenance uniform, and in its place we're going to take the sneaking uniform. This is going to allow us to reduce the damage that we take in the next fight by half. And once you're ready, close out of the menu and then stick the final C3 onto the fuel tank, and we'll begin a couple cutscenes. We can skip over those and then we'll be into the boss fight against Colonel Volgin. Begin the fight by grabbing a Russian glowcap mushroom and throwing it into the corner behind Volgin. Then run over and CQC slam him, roll over him to do some bonus damage. We have 5 minutes to complete this fight, and we want to do it using CQC. If you use weapons, he'll try to attack you with electricity, and that can be pretty dangerous. However, the Russian glowcap mushroom that we just threw on the ground is going to be absorbing electrical attacks just like this. And that gives us a good chance to go over, CQC slam him again, and roll over him for bonus damage. A Russian glowcap mushroom can absorb 2 electrical attacks, which means that we're able to dodge a total of 4 of those electric attacks because we've got 2 Russian glowcaps. Now we just want to bait out his attacks a little bit, letting him try to get close to us, and then when he attacks, we can counterattack with CQC, slam him on the ground, and roll over him. We can actually be pretty aggressive with our CQC, and we can interrupt his attacks. So if he tries to shoot you like this, then just run around behind him and grab him with CQC. That'll interrupt his attack, and then we can just roll over him again. When he charges at you, just move out of the way, and once he finishes trying to punch you, then grab him and slam him again. And of course, we'll roll over him. If you try to use a gun or other weapon in this fight, he gets kind of mad and likes to use more electric attacks, so just try to use CQC. It's pretty easy, but it is a little bit time consuming. One way to potentially speed up this fight a bit is after you slam him, switch over to your Mark 22 and shoot him in the head for some bonus stun damage. If you dodge his rush attacks, he's going to do them 3 times in a row. After that, he'll just try to hit you, and that gives you a chance to run around behind him and slam him. Now after you get rid of half of his stamina, then you're going to get a little bit of an intermission cutscene, skip over that, and then immediately get down on the ground and start crawling toward him. He'll do a big attack where he shoots bullets in all directions, but if you're crawling, then you can evade that, and then get up close to him, slam him, and roll. Or just slam him and shoot him with the Mark 22 in the head. Then immediately put that Mark 22 back away. Also, we want to make sure that we've got Russian glowcap mushrooms on the ground to keep absorbing those electrical attacks. So if you don't have anyone on the ground, then make sure you put some back out, and then resume the fight. There are some more interesting tips that I can provide to you to make this fight even easier. There's going to be some water lines in this area, and if you shoot them, water will spray out, and because he's electric based, that water is going to actually weaken him. It's interesting that if you interrogate Rykov, he will actually tell you that the Colonel's weakness is water, hinting that this is a potential thing that you can do during the fight. Another thing that you can do is to equip the Rykov mask in the face paint option, and that's going to distract Volgin for a little bit, allowing you to get up close to him and get a free slam on him. But just know that that will make him very angry, and he's going to be pretty aggressive after that. Also, you can use the fake death pill in this fight. We got one when we were in the prison cell. We dug it out with the fork, and you can use that to make him think that you're dead. He'll turn his back on you, and that will allow you to get up and shoot him in the back of the head or CQC slam him. Now, at some points, he's going to want to recharge at this power panel, so go ahead and equip the Mark 22 and shoot him in the back of the head a couple times using the tactical reload. That'll take away a lot of his stamina. Stun grenades don't work very well on Volgin just because he moves around a lot, and it's hard to get them close enough to him where he's actually looking at them for them to be effective. But you can use the cigarette gas spray to pretty good effect. The problem is you've got to be very close to him in order for that to work, and he's probably going to be trying to punch you if that's the case. Well, we're getting pretty close to the end of the fight, but we're also getting low on time. There will actually be an announcement over the intercom letting you know that time is almost up. So pay attention to that, and you don't really have to watch the clock in the lower left corner. Now before we finish the fight, I want to show you 2 more things. Don't just try to punch Volgin because he actually can block those punches and then knock you over instead. Also, he can cause electricity to come down on the ground and start moving back and forth across the area and spinning around. You can actually roll over the beam of electricity to dodge this, but it is pretty difficult. Also, don't get too close to him because he is electrified during that. But once you're ready, take him out, and then we'll be moving on through some more cutscenes, and we're also going to then go into the motorbike chase sequence. If you defeated Volgin using non-lethal damage, then you can get the Cold War camouflage, which can come in handy during this part, because when you're wearing the Cold War camo, enemies will be less likely to attack you from the front. It works fairly well in the opening sequences of the motorcycle chase, but not so much in the later sections, especially compared to how it worked in the original Metal Gear Solid 3. We then want to equip the Mark 22 pistol, and we want to get ready to fight the enemies in this area. Luckily for us, we have unlimited ammunition as long as we're on the motorbike, and a body shot anywhere on the enemies will take them down. It doesn't have to be a headshot, even a leg shot will be enough to knock them out instantly. As you can see here, thanks to our Cold War camo, the enemies really aren't attacking us that much, which means we're able to keep up our health pretty well. You definitely want to keep your weapon up at all times. If you don't have it up, it's going to be more of a cinematic experience, but you want to be able to be moving around and facing the enemies so that your Cold War camo will prevent them from shooting you as much. Eva will be nice and shout out where the enemies are coming from, so she might say, "Snake in front," or "to the right," and that's a good indication for where you need to be looking. Just keep in mind that she's giving you directions based on her perspective, so if you're looking out the back side of the motorcycle, it's actually going to be reversed for you. Before we get to the next boss fight, there's going to be a total of 4 of these motorcycle sections, and our health carries over in between all of those 4 sections, so it's very important that you try to knock out the enemies as quickly as possible to avoid taking damage. That's pretty much it for section 1. Now Eva's going to drive us around a bit while the Shagohod wrecks some tanks, and then we'll be moving on into section 2. Once we go under the skywalk, the screen will transition, and we're going to get a series of 2 cutscenes, so make sure you skip both of those. After that, we're going to move into the second section, which is Groznyj Grad Runway South. There's a bunch of guards in this area, so you definitely want to make sure that you're facing them to avoid as much damage as possible. We're going to be staying in this little area for quite a while, just kind of going back and forth, and eventually Eva's going to stop next to one of the forklifts, and we'll get some good opportunities to shoot the guards who are coming at us. So we'll see some guards in the distance. There's also a guard up on the rooftop. Definitely prioritize that guy because he has an RPG-7 and he's able to do a ton of damage to us if he hits us with that.
Good one.
After taking out the guards, then Eva will keep moving us around and we'll go into the second street where there's going to be some more enemies in this area. There are also some explosive barrels in this area, and if you shoot them with a different type of bullet, then they'll explode, and as we know from earlier, those explosions do not count as kills, so that can make it pretty easy. There is an explosive barrel against the side of the building on the right, so you can shoot that and blow it up to get rid of the guards as they come running down this alleyway. Once those guards are taken care of, we'll move back into the other street and look down the road because there's some more guards at the end of it. But pay attention because there's another guard up on the rooftop on the left side of the screen, and we definitely want to take him out before he hits us with one of those RPG-7 rockets. We'll then go past the guard tower, shoot these guys, and then you'll go under an awning, and that will take you out into the runway area. Again, we get a cutscene, so skip over that. And then you want to pay attention to the guards behind you. Now this section can get a little bit tricky because we've got a couple guys coming at us all at once. There's going to be the motorcycle drivers, they're always on the right side, and there's also the guys in the sidecar with guns, and those are on the left. I would always recommend trying to prioritize hitting the guards on the right, the ones who are driving the motorcycle, because if you can take out the driver, you'll also take out the gunner at the same time. I find in this part where we have the motorcycles chasing us that the Cold War camo just doesn't really work anymore. It seems like the guards who are on foot are definitely affected by it, but motorcycle users really aren't. So when you come into the runway area, I would definitely recommend switching over to the sneaking uniform, because that way we're able to reduce the damage that we're taking by half. We do continue to regenerate health while on the motorcycle, but really we're not going to be regenerating nearly as much as the damage that we're taking. So definitely do yourself a favor, switch into that sneaking uniform and try to prevent as much damage as possible. Now when we get to the end of this runway, then we're going to get another cutscene. Let's skip over that one, and then we'll have a section where we have some motorcycle users and the Shagohod. If we were to shoot a guard and they get run over by the Shagohod, there is a chance that that will actually count as a kill. So be very careful, and if they get too far away, just stop trying to shoot at them. You don't want to hit them with a tranquilizer and then have them get run over. So if you need to, verify in your records and titles screen whether or not you have any kills at this point, and if you do, then just restart from this area. We need to keep the Shagohod at bay by using the RPG-7 to attack its treads. It's going to use a couple different attacks against us. It can try to ram into us, but hitting those treads will slow it down. It can also try to shoot some rockets at us. At that point, use the Patriot to shoot them out of the sky, and if it just shoots you with some machine guns, then use the RPG-7 to attack its treads again to interrupt the attack. Using the tactical reload by unequipping and re-equipping the RPG-7 is definitely going to be your friend, because the reload animation is naturally very long, and we need to be firing rockets as quickly as possible to keep that Shagohod away from us and to prevent getting any more damage. Well, we survived all 4 of those motorcycle sections, and now we're at the Groznyj Grad rail bridge. We're going to skip over a cutscene, and then we're going to use the sniper rifle to try to take out 4 C3 charges that are blinking. So there's one to the left side of the gate underneath the bridge, and then one on the right side of that gate. That's going to cause a piece to start swinging around, and you just have to aim carefully to take that out. Now there is the 4th one, and you probably are like, where is this? I don't know where it is, and you're freaking out trying to find it. Just stay calm. It's actually in that same area behind some smoke. Once the smoke clears, then Eva will give you the go-ahead to shoot, and then you can take out that remaining C3 charge, and that will end that section pretty quickly. From this point, you'll skip over the cutscene and you'll begin the fight against the Shagohod. I strongly recommend going into the camouflage menu at this point and equipping the DPM camo. That will double our health recovery rate, meaning that we're going to be able to get all of our health back throughout the course of this fight, because we're really not going to be taking damage during this section. You want to be aiming at the treads of the Shagohod. You want to shoot each one of the treads one time to paralyze the Shagohod in place, and then when Eva circles around, then you want to shoot the back section of the top of the Shagohod. That's the only way to do damage against it. Paralyze its treads, go around the back, and then shoot the back of it. That's really all there is to it. Just act quickly so you don't take any damage. Now, we're not really doing a lot of damage to the Shagohod either, because this is extreme difficulty, so it's going to take multiple rockets in order to get all of its health down. That's not such a bad thing though, because we definitely need time in order for that DPM camo to get our health back up, because we don't want to go into the following boss fight as well as the then following motorcycle sections with having low health. That would be very dangerous for us. So, just make your way through this pretty methodically, and that way you're able to not take too long with it. But we've got so much time that it's actually probably better to go through this area a little bit slowly just to get our health back. I'm going to let this fight play out at 2 times the normal speed just for the sake of time. And there's one more thing that I wanted to call out too, and that is if you get pretty close to the Shagohod, where Eva's driving up next to the treads, you might not want to fire the RPG-7, because if you're too close, it can actually damage you as well, and you definitely don't want that. We're trying to regain health instead of hurting ourselves more. So just be careful if you get close to it, but if you're at a distance, then you should be able to hit it no problem. Well, that about wraps it up for the first phase of the Shagohod fight, and then we're going to move into phase 2, which is going to be quite a bit different, because instead of riding on the motorcycle, So after the first phase of the Shagohod is complete, the screen will turn white, and then we're going to get a cutscene that we want to skip over. After that, we want to keep using the RPG-7, but this time we don't have unlimited ammo, so aim is actually very important. If the Shagohod is moving, you need to aim in front of it to give your rocket some time to get close. I like to wait until Volgin actually gets pretty close to me, and then switch to the Maznagant and shoot him in the head. Now, how this fight works is that when you shoot one of the treads, the Shagohod will stop and Volgin will look in the direction of the damaged tread. So what you want to do is to keep alternating back and forth between the treads while looking straight at him, and that will allow you to hit him in the head with the Maznagant as he looks back and forth between the sides. If you're quick enough, then he's not really going to be able to move, and we can just get him into a nice cycle like this, and that can really avoid a lot of his attacks. He can do a few things like shoot rockets into the air. If that happens, grab the Patriot and just shoot them out of the sky, and go back to trying to hit him with the rocket launcher. Volgin has an energy barrier right in front of him, so you can't attack him head on. That's why you have to damage the treads and get him to look to the side first so that you can shoot him in the head. Apart from this missile attack, which is pretty easy to deal with, there's 3 other attacks to keep in mind. He can just try to run you over with the treads. That does quite a bit of damage. All you really have to do is run to the side, however, to avoid that. He can also fire what looks to be a large red laser beam out of the front of the Shagohod. To dodge this, all you have to do is run over toward the side. Strafing is your friend in this fight. Finally, he can start shooting at you with machine guns. They start kind of wide and then narrow in towards you. All you really have to do to avoid that is to hit him in the treads with one of the RPG-7 rockets, and that will interrupt that attack. If you run out of RPG-7 ammunition, then Eva can give you some more of it, and you may be able to find some lying around the area as well. But as long as you have decent aim with the RPG-7 and you can use the Maznagant appropriately to take him out quickly, you should be able to win the fight before ammo becomes a problem. After the battle, then you want to skip the following cutscene, and we'll be back on the motorbike for a very difficult series of zones. Here I'm switching back into the Cold War camo, but again, I think that it really is better that we use the sneaking suit to reduce the damage. I just don't get the feeling that the enemies in this area abide by the Cold War camo rules as much as they did in the original Snake Eater. Let's take out the motorcycle, guys, using the Mark 22 with no suppressor equipped, and because we're back on the motorcycle, we get unlimited ammo. Always make sure that you're attacking the driver so that you can take out both the driver as well as the gunner at the same time. Sometimes the third person aim just doesn't cut it, so go into first person as necessary to get a little bit more of an accurate shot. Once you get rid of one group of motorcycles, another group will show up to try to take you out. Now they're going to be in front of you originally, so if you take out the motorcycles, then turn and face the front and a little bit toward the left to get a jump on them. Also, because we get unlimited ammo, it also means that we get unlimited grenades, so you can use stun grenades and toss them towards the motorcycles, and occasionally you can use those to knock out the guards as well. But I think it is just better and more consistent to use the Mark 22. Once we get rid of 3 groups of motorcycle enemies, we'll then enter into a more narrow passageway. At that point, you want to face the front, because the next group of enemies are going to be in front of us, and we can prepare for that. The next group of enemies is by a guard tower. Most are on the ground and one is up in the tower. I would say prioritize the ones on the ground first as you go around this area. You don't have to take the guards out to move on, but certainly if you hit them and knock them out, then they won't be able to do any damage against you, and really the whole point of this is to try to take the enemies out before they're able to do lots of damage to you. You'll then move forward along another pathway and there will be another group of enemies. I highly recommend going toward the guards on the left first, because one of them has an RPG-7 that can absolutely wreck your health bar. If you get hit by that, I definitely recommend quickly reloading that save before you transition into the next area, which happens a few seconds later on. Unfortunately, I did not reload that save, so I'm just going to stick with having low health, but we'll see how much that sneaking suit comes in handy. We've got to deal with groups of flying enemies, and they can be fairly difficult because they're moving around a lot, they're up above us, our bullets drop pretty quickly, especially at a distance, and the enemies can actually get smart and try to duck behind their shields, and that means that we won't be able to hit them fairly easily. Now luckily, even though we're putting these enemies to sleep and they're crashing, it doesn't actually count as a kill. Just do your best to try to take out these enemies as quickly as possible so that you're not losing too much health. When you take out one group of enemies, some more spawn right in their place, and we've got to go back to trying to shoot them. I tried to experiment with some other weapons like using the Maznagant, but I found that the thing that helps out the most is actually just to go into first person view and aim at the enemies that way. The third person just did not seem to work nearly as well as first person mode for this section. Honestly, I'm not really sure what happened here. There just was a big explosion and it took away a large chunk of my health, so now we're in critical health and we just have to try to make it through the section with even less health than we had before. Eventually, Eva's going to call out a log in front of you. At that point, you want to switch to the RPG-7 and look forward. You can look down the path and then aim at the log. You definitely want to destroy that to avoid taking extra damage. Then we'll switch back over to the Mark 22 and get ready to defend ourselves against some more enemies who are coming up from behind us. Well, I'm in pretty rough shape right now, but at least we made it through that section and we're going into another area. This is the final section of the motorbike chase, and we don't have any more flying enemies, but very soon after starting off, we're going to get some more motorcycle guys coming up from behind us, so we'll take aim at their drivers and knock them out. Again, staying in first person view is definitely recommended for this section. Then after a few seconds, some more enemies are going to come up from behind you, so take them out as well. At this point, there's going to be enemies on the left side of the screen as we're looking back. Eva will call out snake right, but again, because we're facing the opposite direction, it actually means left for us. So let's keep attacking the enemies as they show up, and we'll do our best to get through this section without losing any more health. Now, I'm not sure if it's true or not, but it seems like when I was getting very close to the end of this area, the guards just really stopped shooting me as aggressively as they were before. There's no reason for them to do that apart from maybe the game just takes mercy on you when it knows that you're very low on health and it just wants you to get to the end section of the game. So I don't know if that's true or not. It definitely seemed true in my case because the guards really just stopped being aggressive, where they had been super aggressive up until that point. But that doesn't mean that you should go easy on them just because they're being merciful toward us. I think that they'll still do damage, they'll just do less damage. Eva will shout out that there's a jump coming up, and that will take you to the end of this section. There's going to be another screen transition, there's going to be some cutscenes and some radio conversations. Let's just skip over all of that quickly until we can go into one of the final areas of the game. After all the cutscenes and radio transmissions, we want to cure both Snake and Eva of their ailments. Cuts require disinfectant, styptic, bandage, and a suture kit, and bone fractures require a splint and a bandage. For Eva, she's got a cut, so we're going to then use the disinfectant, styptic, bandage, and suture kit, and we have another cut that will handle the same. After that, there's going to be another cutscene. Let's skip over that one, and then we're going to be in control of Snake once again. There's a bunch of items scattered around the ground. Run over and pick up everything that you can, and then we want to go into the survival viewer, and we'll choose backpack. Let's go down, and we're going to equip the DPM camo once again so that we can boost our natural life recovery rate and try to get back up to full health before the next boss fight. We then want to move forward, and we can call Eva over by using the action button. We need to be fairly close for her and be in a place where she can see us in order for her to follow those instructions. We'll keep moving forward along the path until we get to some muddy water, and all the while we're going to be calling Eva over to us so that she doesn't get lost. Once you make it past the muddy water, you'll be in a bunch of ferns, and then we can take the path over toward the side, and that will take us into a section where we get a cutscene, and then things get a little bit more difficult for us. Here's the cutscene that we should skip, and then we're going to keep going forward until we get to the other side of the ferns right in front of us. We'll call Eva over and get her over into this area. Then we want to lie down amidst all of these ferns. Crawl forward to get to the water's edge, then go into the survival viewer's backpack, and we're going to remove the SVD as well as the RPG-7, and we'll take some stun grenades. We then want to equip the stun grenade and we'll ready it to throw into the ferns in front of us. That should take out a lot of the guards in front of us. If any of those guards do remain, that's when we want to grab the Mark 22, make sure that the suppressor is equipped on it, and then shoot the guards. Now if Snake is facing the direction of that stun grenade, you'll be blinded for just a second, but it's not that bad. The enemies are blinded for much longer, giving us plenty of time to shoot the guards before we're being seen. Now we want to reposition a little bit, so we'll run up the hill over toward the side, and we're going to get Eva to come up by this patch of ferns. Now we'll go back over to the edge where we came from, and we're going to look out to over toward the entrance. Once again, we're going to equip the stun grenades, and we're going to get ready for another group of enemies to come forward. Once you see them, we'll toss the stun grenade in that direction. It will explode, taking out a few of the enemies, and we can just clean up the rest of them using the Mark 22. There's only one enemy remaining, and you'll know that he's close when the question mark appears on your screen because he just saw one of the passed out soldiers, but he won't do anything about it. So get ready with the Mark 22. If you line up his head with the top solid gray line in the third person reticle, that's able to take him down pretty quickly. Once you get up close to the top, then go over toward the right side and there's going to be a bit of a ramp. You definitely want to keep calling Eva over into this direction so that she doesn't get too far behind. Then we want to look up into the trees of this area and we can find some fruit. If you need to, equip the M1911A1, and with that suppressor still equipped, we're going to shoot that fruit down and then go and collect it. Eva gets very hungry very quickly, so we need to manage her stamina by giving her food every once in a while. So thanks to our new fruit, we're able to do that pretty well. Let's get close to Eva and then go to the food option inside the survival viewer. We're going to select the Russian false mangoes and we're going to give those both to Eva. Once their stamina is filled up a bit, then we can leave the menu and keep going forward along the path. We'll stay over toward the right, and then that will take us down into a lower area. And then if we go over toward the left side of that area, we can circle around. Now let's suppose that we weren't able to take out all of those guards. What they typically do is they will come down into this lower section and they're going to set up an ambush waiting for you. We took care of all the guards already, so they're not really much of a threat, but we're going to keep our Mark 22 equipped just in case as we look around. When we get over close to the ledge, we're going to then have the screen narrow in a little bit, but we can't just move forward without Eva's help. So keep calling her over, and eventually she's going to help you out with a cutscene where you climb up the ledge. We'll skip that cutscene, and then we're going to be into the second area. There's a couple enemies in this area, so you want to start by lying down and crawling through the ferns over toward the left. We'll then use the Mark 22 and we'll try to hit the guard in the distance. We don't need a headshot, a body shot will do just fine. Then we want to turn toward the right and keep crawling as we hug that right wall. That will take us down into a section where we can shoot another guard in the back of the head. And then we want to continue to go forward a little bit, and we're going to look for other enemies in this area. Once you go down in between a couple of trees, one on the left and one on the right, we can take out the guard with the Mark 22 shot. After that, we're going to turn over toward the right side because there's a group of 2 guards patrolling in the area back into the right of where we currently are. So let's sneak up closer using this half of a rock, and then we can see some guards coming up here. Let's go ahead and shoot them and get rid of them. Alright, at this point we need to start thinking about how do we get more ammo before we go into the next boss fight. And to do that, you might want to shake down some of these guards because there's a pretty good chance that they're going to give us something good, including more ammunition for the Mark 22. There's another weapon whose ammunition will also be incredibly helpful, and that is going to be the Maznagant. So make sure that you collect some Maznagant ammo so that you're completely full, and collect as much Mark 22 camo that you can get. After the ammo has been refilled, make your way to the other side of this very large tree against a rock, and then we want to follow the narrow pathway as it goes up toward the top. We'll keep summoning Eva over toward us as we go up there, and we don't want to just run to the end because there's going to be some enemies that can see us, but if we're up top here, we've got a very good vantage point against all of them. So keep going forward, and we're going to go into these ferns at the edge of the cliff. Our first step is to look down below us because there's actually a guard lying down here. So go into first person view and you can shoot him in the head. After that, look over toward the left and there's going to be some more enemies, one to the left side of a log here. There's also some more enemies over toward the left in some different areas. If we look to the left side of the stump that's lying on the ground, we can see an enemy run up and then we can shoot that one. Again, we're not necessarily going for headshots here, any body shot will do just fine, and eventually they'll be tranquilized and knocked out. You want to keep an eye on the patches of grass because every once in a while, you'll get an indication that there's an enemy hiding inside the grass. And sometimes they will even pop up and expose themselves very nicely for you. Another trick to getting through this is to use the thermal goggles because that will actually allow you to see exactly where the enemies are, even if they're hiding down inside of the ferns. And that's really it for this section. I'm just going to go into the backpack to equip the thermal goggles from the item tab, and that way we can just look around this area really quick to verify that all the enemies have been tranquilized. So everything looks pretty good here. We only see enemies lying on the ground and no other heat signatures, so that means that we can then move on. Once again, Eva is very low on stamina, so we want to give her some food. I'll give her the instant noodles that we collected from Johnny, the torture room prison guard. We're all good with everything else, so let's go ahead and leave the menu and then hop down from the ledge, and we'll stay over toward the left-hand side as we move over by the log that had the enemy on the left side. Just for fun, we can try to shake him down and see if he gives us anything useful. You can also make your way around and shake down the other guards just to see what you get. But for the most part, I think we have everything that we need at this point. We have full ammo for the Maznagant, and we also have quite a bit of ammo for the Mark 22. The exit for this area is just ahead if we follow the path over toward the left, but we need Eva to come along with us in order to access it, so make sure that you're continuously calling her over. If you're too far away, you do need to move up a little bit so that she can see you, and then she'll start following once you bid her to come closer. Now you definitely have to keep Eva's food supply up because if she runs low on stamina, she's just going to stop walking forward. She won't follow your directions anymore. Well, now as she comes closer to the exit, we want to prepare ourselves for the final boss fight. We'll go into the survival viewer and choose backpack. On the item tab, we're going to make sure that we have the thermal goggles as well as the AT camouflage. This item makes the next boss fight very simple. For our uniform, we're going to choose the snow uniform, and then for the face paint, we're also going to choose snow. That's everything we need for the final boss fight, so we'll leave the survival viewer and then proceed forward toward the exit, and now we just have to get Eva to get closer. Once she makes her way over to us, then we're going to get some more cutscenes. We'll skip through all of those and then we'll begin the fight against the boss. We want to counter her first attack. It's going to go into slow-mo as she tries to elbow us. Make sure you hit R2 at that time to counter it, and then we'll grab our Mark 22 and we want to shoot her 3 times while she's on the ground. After that, run away from her toward the outside edge of the arena and then hold down triangle to roll. We're then going to equip our AT camo and deploy it by pressing in the left stick or the L3 button, and now our camouflage is at 95% or 85% when we're crouch walking. We'll equip the Maznagant, and then all we want to do is to find her and shoot her. Once you hit her, then she's going to start shooting at you. I would always recommend trying to shoot her while you're right next to a tree or have a good means of escape, because we don't want to take too much damage from her attacks. We'll then reposition ourselves somewhere else along the outside edge of this arena, and we're able to take another shot at her with the Maznagant. Always aim for her head if possible to deal the most amount of damage. With just those 2 Maznagant shots, she's down to about half of her stamina, which means that this fight doesn't take too long at all. Once again, we'll reposition going toward the outside of the arena. We'll take a shot at her head and then use a tree for cover. She's about halfway defeated at this point, so we're going to keep up on our method of sticking toward the outside of the area, keeping an eye on her, and then we're going to go ahead and try to shoot her in the head. But she is pretty smart. She'll run between trees pretty quickly and not give us a lot of opportunity. So if she starts getting too close to you, then just keep moving around, circling around the outside of the arena and try to get away from her. Once she gets down to half of her remaining stamina, if she sees you, she's going to rush in and do another quick time event just like the one at the beginning, but this time there's going to be 2 attacks that we have to counterattack with the R2 button or the CQC button. But luckily for us, if she can't see us, she can't attack us. So once again, we'll just stay toward the outside edge of this arena. We'll shoot her when we're right next to a tree, then we'll duck behind that tree to get cover, and then we'll move on to another area. That AT camouflage makes it so that we really can't lose this fight so long as we keep our distance and hit her with that Maznagant. And that's really all there is to say about this fight. I'm just going to let it play out now without the rest of the commentary for the next 2 minutes or so. So if you want to, feel free to watch the rest of the battle. Otherwise, you can just skip ahead to the 2 hour and 16 minute mark of the video. And there you go, the boss is defeated, and now we get an unskippable cutscene for just a moment.
Take this. Keep it safe. It's our only hope.
Patriot. Why are you giving me this?
Jack. Or should I say, Snake. You're a wonderful man. Kill me. Kill me now. Do it. There's only room for one boss and one snake.
At this point, you just need to press the R2 button to fire, and that will complete the mission. We then get some more cutscenes, so skip over all of these, and when you're inside the wig or the plane, then just run forward. It doesn't matter which option you choose on the ground. After that, there'll be another cutscene, skip over that, and then you don't have to do anything during this section. We then get a whole bunch of cutscenes back to back, so skip over all of those. There's also a radio transmission thrown into it, so skip through all of that as well. You'll be prompted to save the game. It doesn't really matter if you choose to save it or not at this point, so do whichever you like, and then we'll keep on going by skipping through some more cutscenes. We'll skip all the way through the end of the game, through the end of the credits, and then we'll get our results screen. And now we get the FOXHOUND trophy for completing the game with the FOXHOUND ranking, and we also get our platinum trophy called Endless Battle. We completed the game on extreme difficulty. I did it in 2 hours, 23 minutes, and 4 seconds. I saved 5 times, but really it was a lot more than that thanks to the autosave. We had 0 continues, 0 alert phases, 0 humans killed, 0 serious injuries, only 1 life bar of total damage taken. We used 0 life medicines. We captured 8 types of plants and animals. Most of that was in relation to when we fought the fear, but there was one time where we ate a Kenyan mangrove crab to get some stamina back. We really managed our stamina mostly just by using the spirit camo and choking the enemies out, activating its special ability. Finally, we used 0 special items, no infinity face paint, no stealth camouflage, and no easy gun. Let me know down in the comments what your final time was, and I would love to celebrate your new FOXHOUND rank with you. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please be sure to hit that like button as it really helps me out, and consider subscribing to join our amazing community and so you can see more videos and guides like this in the future. I hope to see you soon in another one of my videos, and until then, thanks for watching and have a good day.